Budget has two parts. First is revenue budget, second is capital budget. In revenue budget, we have two components. So see, whenever we see the budget, what do we mean by the word budget? Budget would mean that there would be two things. First is that we'll talk about the sources of revenue for the government, and then we'll talk about how government spends the money. So now you have revenue budget, capital budget. In revenue budget, we are talking about regular sources of income of the government, and here we are talking about where the government spends the money on a regular basis. In capital budget, we talk about capital receipts of the government of India. So for example, government of India does disinvestment and privatization, like Air India was privatized. The money that the government of India gets is capital receipts. Now, capital expenditure would mean that type of expenditure which changes the asset and liability position of the government of India. So for example, let's say government of India constructs infrastructure that increases our capacity, right? So similarly, government of India might purchase a land or a building or an equipment. That could be capital expenditure. Now, the most important thing that we have to see here is whenever government of India says that I'm going to construct infrastructure or I'll increase the infrastructure in this country, I want to contribute. That means here they're talking about capital expenditure. And where do you find capital expenditure in the budget? Here. Because this is where you will find CAPEX, capital expenditure. So now, there are two things that we should note here. Number one, the central government spends money in the construction of infrastructure, in the development of infrastructure. That is called as CAPEX. We get that figure from here. But there is one more entry which is related to capital expenditure. The central government gives grants to the state government. So center will give grant to states. Now, out of this grant given by center to state, there is a component of the grant which the state government uses for infrastructure, for capital expenditure. Example, suppose that the central government has given 100 crore rupees to the state government. Now, state government uses 80 crore rupees for day-to-day expenditure, like suppose they give subsidy to people in the state. But remaining 20 crore, this state government is using to construct, let's say, hospitals. So here, if central government gives 100 crore rupees to the state government might use 80 crore to give subsidy to its people, but remaining 20 crore state government might use for, construction of hospital, etc. So this 20 crore is also capital expenditure. But whose capital expenditure? Actually, state governments. But who helped it? Central government. So if somebody will ask us that what is the capital expenditure by center, the answer will be here. In this side, it will be mentioned. But if somebody says, no, tell us, what is the capital expenditure directly by center plus also indirectly contributed by center? Then we will take the capital expenditure from here and we will take it from here, this 20 crore, and we will add it. If you add it, it is called as effective capital expenditure.